And Jai Subhadra is a product of her mercy. I'll put it like that. And she also been serving as a board of director for ISKCON Houston or Hare Krishna Dham since 1993, contributing to the strategic direction of the temple there in Houston. And her contribution to the development of community there and the temple is phenomenal. And she has been serving our movement for many decades, very tirelessly for the pleasure of the Lordships, the most merciful, the most gorgeous, Shri Radha Neelam Madhava. I don't know how many of you went to Houston Temple, the most beautiful deities. So she has been serving the deities for decades. So it's totally, and also not only spiritually, even professionally also, she is very accomplished. She's Mother Guru Bhakti graduated with the MBBS from Jivaji University, India. She began her medical career in 1982 in Fiji. In 1992, she completed her residency training in US, and subsequently she entered a private practice in internal medicine. She's an exemplary Vaishnavi and sets a great example for devotees like all of us by her impeccable Vaishnava behavior and conduct and the leadership as well. I'm very inspired by her leadership. So we are very, very fortunate and blessed to have such a amazing exemplary Vaishnavi to give class today. And so with that, let us welcome Mother Guru Bhakti by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with that, Mother Guru Bhakti, I'll turn it over to you. Hare Krishna.
Do we sing Jai Radha Madhava Prabhu before we start?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So of course this is Zoom, so I won't be able to hear you, but I can see a beautiful altar. Yes. So I'll sing Jai Radha Madhava, and then we will get into the class. I have also invited some of my god sisters to help also with this talk. So they'll be joining me in a little bit also. So I'll sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayam Vishnupat Paramahamsa Parivar Jakacharya Astatara Sata Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Maharaj Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I want to thank Satyasara Prabhu and his good wife Jai Subhadra for inviting me for this talk. Of course, this your temple looks very beautiful, very tastefully decorated, and from what I can see, it looks beautiful. And I also would like to give you a disclaimer. Whatever good you see in me is the mercy of my spiritual master, and whatever faults you'll see in this presentation are mine alone. So with that, I will try and do justice to this talk for this special day, which is Mother's Day. And I don't know how, if this can be a little interactive, because I may start by asking you, we know it's a special day today in terms of Mother's Day, but we know in the Vedas, it is described that we have 7 mothers. So if you know, I don't know if you can put up, if there's someone there who can, even if it is possible, for me to ask the question and to hear the answers. Otherwise, I will go on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So you want to tell us who are the 7 mothers that our Vedas describe?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Is it possible or not possible? If the people in the temple room who can speak, I don't know if you have a microphone, right? So
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll give it to somebody who wants to answer.
Yeah, you can just give me one. You don't have to all give me 7. You can. Each person can give one, so it's not so daunting, right?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can give 2. The
Sure.
original mother who's giving birth to the baby, the wife of the guru, she's another.
Thank you. Okay, so the wife of the guru and the birth mother, those are 2. Good start. And then there, somebody else? The other 2?
Cow.
The cow is our mother, yes.
Yeah. Bhudevi, Bhumata.
Bhudevi, yes, Mother Earth, that's 4. And there are 2 other wives. Remember, wife of the guru, you said, and the other 2?
One is nurse.
Yes, nurse, very good. You got 2 more left.
Wife of king.
Wife of the king and another wife. Wife of the guru and the wife of someone related to the guru. The guru leads you towards the absolute truth, and who else leads you towards the absolute truth? So the wife of the Brahman, right? So that's how we get the mothers. So we will start by maybe talking about the mothers that we neglect the most, right? So the first mother I will talk about is Mother Earth. Every day we step on her, and she's bearing so much burden from us, right? We are putting up concrete buildings, the fury of the ocean and the seas, and then we frackle, right? We frack and we kind of like bleed her, and we remove oil and petroleum products from her. We bore holes into her, and despite all this kind of mishap, and not only that, we also like pollute her, right? We pollute the oceans, we dump our garbage into her, and in many ways we mistreat her. We pollute the land with so many chemicals, and we do not take care of her so well. But despite all these problems that we leap upon her, Mother Earth never fails to deliver. Right? She is giving us our food. even our water supply. And she never tires in giving us these things. But sometimes when she gets a little fed up and wants to bring our attention to her, she may kind of move a little bit, right? And then what happens? We may find like an earthquake, like a little tremor, or a volcano may sometimes erupt, right? And then we start to feel the anger or the unhappiness of Mother Earth. So, and do you remember, if you are reading the Bhagavatam, that there are many things? What is the one thing that Mother Earth cannot tolerate? She's tolerating our, like contaminating her waters, contaminating the soil itself, right? What is one thing that she does not tolerate? You remember from the Bhagavatam? So it says that, do you remember in Kali Yuga that the cow or the bull of religion is represented by 4 legs, if you remember? So
Yes, yes, Mataji.
yes, okay, go ahead and say.
So it is adharma, she can't.
Yes, adharma, especially in the sense, especially lying, right?
Right.
Mother Earth does not tolerate a liar. So very good, like this adharma, dishonesty, not being honest, cheating, she does not tolerate. So next time we have this tendency, or we are thinking, okay, I'm going to tell a lie, think about how this lie is going to be affecting Mother Earth, that she may be, how it'll disturb our mother, who has been tirelessly giving us so much, and we are not honoring her by lying. Of course, you see the governments, big corporations, they're generally doing this, right? Getting away with so many lies. And then sometimes when Mother Earth makes it known that it's not so good, then people think, okay, like what shall we do? In the Bhagavatam, there's the example of King Vena. King Vena was born from a mother who was born from a demoniac family, and he was a very, very evil king. And during his rule, the earth was so upset that she withdrew her bounty. So she was not supplying vegetables, she was not supplying water. So, there was drought, the people were starving, she was not giving out the herbs and the medicinal, like medicines and her minerals. And so mankind was suffering. And then the Brahmins, they exercise, in those days, the Brahmins are the advisors to the king. So the Brahmins then decided that this king is not good for him. He's not doing anything good for himself or for anyone else. So we have to replace him with a different king. So then by mantras, he was killed, and then they churned his body, and there was another king. And this king, Maharaj Priyavrata, or Prithu Maharaj, right? Once he was, he became, what shall we say, mature enough to lead or take over the kingdom, then he noticed that, Mother Earth is withholding her bounty. So he took her to task. He said, how come you are withholding your bounty? Then Mother Earth then responded that because the king was not proper, and therefore I was withholding my bounty. And then the king decided to chastise Mother Earth, and then it's described that he flattened the mountains, and he was able to make the land suitable to again yield the things that Mother Earth can give. So this is an example of how to not treat the mother, and an example of how the Mother Earth can be treated, right? Then another example we gave was the cow, right? The cow is also our mother. By definition, mother means someone who nourishes us or nurtures us. So the cow nourishes not only the calves, but she also nourishes us with her milk. Srila Prabhupada called milk liquid religion, because especially for the first 6 months of one's life, the baby can be nourished only on mother's milk, right? Or the cow's milk also. So the cow is such a perfect mother that she produces even her waste products, right? Her urine, the stool, even those are considered very sacred and are used in our jagyas, right? They're used in Vedic rituals. And to be with cows is to be in the mode of goodness. So if we have the, but unfortunately we see in this day and age, we are very, we are not responsible children, right? We are very happy to take the milk from the cow. And that also we don't treat her well, particularly we see in factory farming, or the way, you know, they treat her as only the supplier of milk. And then once she becomes old and her lifespan is, you know, she's no longer able to produce milk, then we send our mother to the slaughterhouse. And then she becomes food for people who are so unconscious, no? That they think, they do not think that here's the cow, she has supplied us ingredients to keep us alive. And is this how we treat our mothers? No? If our mothers get old, we don't send them to the slaughterhouse. But we see in modern day society, people cannot make the connection between what they are, between the milk which is nourishing them and what they are eating later as, you know, a piece of meat on the plate. They cannot make that connection. So this protection of the cow is very important. And also it is described that if one just associates with the cow, one comes to the mode of goodness. So if we have people who are mentally not so well, unhealthy or deranged, or they are having a difficult time with life in general, if they just hang out with the cows, it will really help them come to the mode of goodness and help them progress or become peaceful. So like we said, the milk of the cow, the cow dung is used, you know, to build houses, supply fuel for fire, and then also has medicinal qualities. And also the urine of the cow definitely has medicinal qualities. So here's an example of a mother who's giving everything, and therefore she's not because that she's giving everything, but she's nourishing us. And of course, the cow is very dear to Krishna. So because cows are Krishna's pets, right? Just like we may have dogs or cats, Krishna has cows as pets. So we have to learn to honor this mother also, mother cow. And we have in ISKCON, in our society, we have farm communities and we have programs for adopting the cows. So if we are not able to take care of cows by ourselves, we can help by giving our resources, right? Our money, or by visiting them, or just spreading the word. So in Houston, we have an urban farm, which is about 2 miles from the temple. So if you all ever come to visit Houston, then please take time to visit the farm. Like I said, it's only 2 hours. It is called the Bhakti Urban Farm. Usually it's open in the morning till 1. And on Sunday, like now, we have a special program for newcomers. So we have 3 cows there to show a small example of how one can live from the cows and from the land. It's a small initiative that we have at the temple. And we also have what we call our Krishna House, which is where young people or new people who are trying to take up Krishna consciousness can come and live. And they can like try the Vedic lifestyle. One time we were visiting Hungary. In Hungary, we have a very beautiful farm. And the farm, the cow shed is so beautiful. Each cow has its own stall. And in front of the cow is a big picture of Radhe Shyamasundar. That's their worshipable deity. So each cow has a personal deity in front of her. And all day long, they have Srila Prabhupada's like lecture or kirtan going on. And the cowmen said that these cows, they only understand Sanskrit. They don't understand English or Hungarian. And one time we were being given a tour by a brahmachari. So we asked him like, okay, so where do you live? He said, I live with my mother. So we were wondering, like, brahmachari living with the mother here? He said, I live with my mother, the cow. So the brahmachari ashram is on top of the Goshala, no? So it's a very nice atmosphere for the brahmacharis to be peaceful and with the cow. And they also describe that when the cow in their community becomes old, or like when it becomes clear that she's about to die, Then they take the cow out under a different shed. And then the devotees take turns reading to the cow, doing kirtan for the cow, just like you would take care of someone, a person who's terminally ill. And in this way, the cow is like the devotees express their love for the cow and serve her till the end of her life. So the cow leaves their body hearing about Krishna. And of course, because they've done so much service, their next birth is just auspicious. So here's an example of how to really treat mother cow. Like it's really a beautiful way to treat the cows. We also have another devotee here who has a cow sanctuary about about an hour away from Houston. They have just started off. They have 4 cows, and they're trying to. They ultimately they want to get to the point where they can the cows can be can have calves and can supply milk for the deity. So this is some of the ways we can take care of cows nicely of this mother, and then of course the cow, and of course how in modern day civilization we are not really taking good care of them. Now we said 7 mothers, but in the 7 mothers does not describe the Veda. No, if you read, when we understand Krishna consciousness, it is described that the Vedas are also our mother, right? Veda Mata, and then Krishna is our father. So the Vedas, as mothers, they give us information about Krishna, who is our father. And therefore we honor the Vedas, and this is how we get our source of knowledge, which comes to the point that in early childhood, the first mother, the first teacher is the mother, right? It's when we talk about mothers, like we said, our birth mother, the mother who nurses us, sometimes that is called the wet nurse, if the mother is not able to nurse or to supplement her milk. Then we have the mother of the wife of the guru, the wife of the king, and the wife of the Brahmin. So all these are our mothers, because what do the mothers do? They want to nurture the child or to nurture the dependents. So Srila Prabhupada, in his, I just took some talks or some instructions Srila Prabhupada gave specifically about the importance of motherhood and the importance of the importance they play in our life. No, our formative years are formed more by the mother because she's with the child day in and day out. And when we think of mothers, there's maybe 2 things which stand out the most, right? The one thing Srila Prabhupada told us, that the love of the mother is the closest thing we can understand to, which is the closest to love of Krishna or love of God. Because the mother is serving us, serving the child selflessly, right? Continuously and selflessly. She has no expectation. When the child, first she carries the child in her womb for 9 months. Imagine carrying about 20 pounds of weight, right? The child born may be 7 or 8 pounds, but then there is another 7 or 8 pounds of liquid in which the child floats. And during this, while the child is in the womb, he sometimes kicks the mother, sometimes he has hiccups, and the mother has to keep feeling, this baby moving and making it very uncomfortable. And she has to adjust her lifestyle so that the baby can grow. And then, of course, during delivery, she has to work so hard and to deliver the child. And we all know how painful the process is. But once the child is born, immediately the mother forgets the pain of childbirth. And once she has the child, she's immediately able to connect, and all her love overflows into nourishing this child. And then, of course, as the child is growing up, she has to feed him and clean him and clothe him and educate him. And this work never stops. Even when the child becomes an adult and has children of his own, in the mother's heart, that affection that she has, it never goes away. She still thinks of her child as a child. And this is the the wonderful quality of a mother, that her love is unmotivated and it's constant. You know, in civilized societies, we should say, even if sometimes a mother may have the misfortune of not being able to have a child with her, the that affection for the child is always there. That's how nature has wired her. Right? And then she makes so much sacrifice, sleepless nights, putting her needs aside and always trying to come to the level of the child. When the child is when the child is playing, even though the mother may be an adult, she comes down, the child is learning to, she'll come down to the level of the child, comes on the floor, teaches the daughter, okay, oh, you are cooking, let me help you. And in this way, she engages the child. So therefore, the role she plays, not in the just in the life of her own child, but also in the life of the whole community is so important. This role of mother is so important. Because what she sets as an example is what the child will follow. So here's a letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to Kadamba Dasi. This is in December of 1973. Can someone read this? What should be the behavior of a mother is what he's trying to say. You just have to read from the slide. You can see that?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Always be an example to him by being steadfast in Krishna consciousness, and your motherhood will be perfected.
So this is when we wonder, okay, like, am I a good enough mother, right? We may all wonder, okay, this is such a tall order, no? Because we see that Chanakya Pandit says that one should not be a parent, right? Or a guru or a king or like a mother, unless you can deliver your ward, the person who's under you, from the cycle of birth and death. So how do we accomplish? That's a tall order, no? We can barely make ourselves Krishna conscious, let alone those we are responsible for. So Srila Prabhupada is writing that the best way we can serve our children is to be a good example. And that example is if we have good Krishna conscious practices in our own lives. Because the children do what we do, what they see. They do not do what we tell them to do, right? Our example is bigger than precept. So if we want our children to grow up to be good devotees and good citizens, we have to be a very good example to them. And the good example by being very careful and happy with our own sadhana and our spiritual life. Because if we always develop, if we work with Krishna at the center of our household life, we teach the child that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is our Father. He's always there for us, right? He's the one who's maintaining us. We are dependent on His mercy. We should make our mission the mission of Krishna. Then the child will learn these things just by osmosis, just by seeing your behavior. Right? Then there's a few. Then Srila Prabhupada also emphasized that the mother in the initial phases of her life is the person who is the teacher. So here's a letter to Dayananda. Someone can read this. It's speaking about educating children.
And small children then learn better these things from their mother and women in general.
Yeah. So he said that, like we said, in the beginning stages, they learn better from the mother and women in general. So they make good teachers, right? You see schools are full of women who are teachers. And of course, the mother is, like we said, the first guru for the child. Here's another one that you can see. Someone can read this one.
The women are best for teaching small children, especially if they are themselves mothers. And when they become brahmacharis at 5 or 6 years old, then they may be instructed by the men.
So in gurukuls, generally, and particularly for the very young children, we see also in our Sunday school, they are the mothers have a natural proclivity to teach and educate young children. After all, they're the ones who are teaching them how to eat, how to sit, how to walk, right? Everything they're teaching. So in the beginning, the mother's instruction is very important. And we have to therefore commend them on all the sacrifices they make to bring up their children. Now, we are living in this modern society, and we see how sometimes people are not so, they don't feel like motherhood is really a worthy occupation, right? The mothers, the women are made to feel that unless they work outside the home, they are actually missing something, or they are not good enough human beings. So, and this not only amongst in women who are like working in the temple community, but sometimes they may also feel that, you know, if they have, once they have a child, that they are not able to do so much service. Any of you had that that experience, that, you know, when the women are pregnant or they are have small children, then they may feel like, oh, I cannot do service to Krishna. You know, I'm not able to do direct service. Of course, they can still do the hearing and chanting, and they are raising a Vaishnava. I have my sister, when she was first pregnant with her child. At that time, she was the full-time pujari, the full-time cook for the temple. And there were very few devotees in Houston at that time. And when Tamal Krishna Maharaj came to Houston, he could see that she was feeling like how she's not able to do as much. So he asked her a question. He asked, what is the best thing Prabhupada's mother did for him? What would you say was the best thing she did for him? Would someone even ask that question, right? What is the best thing Prabhupada's mother did for him? So he said, the best thing she did for him is that she had him as a son. Because if she did not have him as a son and she did not nurture him and help him grow, this Krishna consciousness society would not exist. So he said, the best thing you can do for your son now is that you can take care of him, and you can help develop a nice Vaishnava. So here's another, this is a very amazing thing from Srila Prabhupada. Someone can read this one. This is a letter to Arundhati.
I'm simply surprised that you want to give up your child to some other persons. Even they are also devotees for you. Child worship is more important than deity worship. If you cannot spend time with him, then stop the duties of pujari.
So amazing, right? We think that you cannot neglect the duty of taking care of the deities. But here Srila Prabhupada is saying that when these children who come to our movement, they're not ordinary souls, right? They're very special souls. They have come under our care so that we can also encourage them or help them on their way to develop their love for Krishna. So therefore, it's very important that the mothers take care of their children. And that should be the first priority. So even if, of course, modern day, particularly in our culture or in America, it's not that when a child is born, the mother gets some, there's not a long period of leave. Here you get 6 weeks and then you have to go back to work, unless as devotees, we are more careful and we understand that it's important to nurture this child, and we can live on one income. We can simplify our lives and see that we can actually use and be the mothers that we have to be for our children, because the mother is the one who can do the best job for nurturing the child. It's a 24/7 job. It is completely underpaid, right? It's not appreciated at all. So these mothers are actually our unsung heroes. So when someone tells me that I'm just a housewife, I tell them, what do you mean that's a housewife? If you're a housewife, that means you can multitask. You can, you can run the finances, you can administer, you can run a team, you can keep everything going. So that's a very important service that you're doing. So do not underestimate your role if you are just, and don't just say you're just a housewife or just a mother. It's a very important role that we have. And so Srila Prabhupada is saying here that it's very important that we understand this, that these children have come under our care, and as guardians, we should make sure that we spend time and we educate them and we nourish them and get them to the point where they can also start their spiritual life. And so here he's saying, then you can stop your deity worship, or we can say we can simplify our lives, try to live on one income and be satisfied, because you only get this opportunity once, right? With that particular child. Of course, you may have other children and you learn from your mistakes, and therefore we may do better next time. But still, no one can, the time that you have with the child is irreplaceable. So it's one of the things that we have to learn, that when we have a child, it's like we are bringing a Vaishnava into our amongst us, and we have this duty. So so we talked about the duties of a mother, but then we should not forget as mothers to also take care of ourselves. If we are not healthy, we cannot be efficient, we cannot be effective mothers. So what do they say? That charity begins at home, no? So as mothers, we have to understand how to take care of ourselves. And if so, we say that the foundation of our health is actually our spiritual life. So we have to get help, and try not, we don't have to be perfect mothers, no? But we have to ensure that our spiritual foundation is very strong. So our sadhana is good, we can keep up with our rounds, even if the house is dirty, or even if the laundry is not done. If we are focusing on our sadhana, keeping Krishna at the center, maybe simplify the deity worship, but at least make sure our food is offered. And in this atmosphere, the child grows up, he will have Krishna Prasadam, and the mother will be very healthy, and then we won't get into problems with like postpartum depression and all that, those issues which come these days. And simplify our lives, so we don't need so much to maintain our bodies and souls. So some kind of spiritual practice, and then take time, and don't be afraid to ask for help. It's like, at least try and get some time away from the child. Maybe when the husband is there, or when the children grow up a little bit, the mothers can have friends who will help us. Like, okay, there's a certain time that you have to have for yourself, so you can remain healthy. Otherwise, the child takes up all the time, and you may not have enough time for your own self-care. So it's important, not only just spiritually, but also physically, right? Of course, when we move with the child and doing so many, we remain physically active. So we should do that instead of just, having the TV or the computer be the guru for us. Do something active with the child, spend time outdoors. That way we teach the child to be physically active, and we also are physically active, which is very good for our own health and for the health of the child. And we are teaching them good ways or healthy ways of recreation. So, those few things are important. And then I'm going to just ask, I personally don't have biological children by choice, but we have plenty of children. But we have two mothers with us. And I'm going to ask Ganga first. She is my god sister. She is a financial advisor. And she has a son who is now a teenager. And I'm going to ask her to share some gems, right? As a mother who has been through, raised a child who's a teenager, what are some of the things which she found helpful? Some of the things you have to be aware of, or, and then what kind of tools did she use to make her job as a mother, or her service as a mother, fulfilling? And how does she see it as service to her guru and to Krishna? So Ganga, can you share? And thank you for coming.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me, Mataji. The most important that I want to just start is give you my life lessons that I have learned over the years and the mistakes that I have done. So I am just going to be pretty transparent about my life, and I'm hoping that it will help somebody, who's out there. Basically, one of the things that I realize is when we start or get into the parenthood, that if both the spouses can come together and discuss the style of parenting. What I've realized is most of us come into the parenthood thinking that we'll raise the child the same way as we were raised. with the same values in the same way that we were raised. But it so happens is both the parents may be raised differently. But this is not discussed before the child actually comes into the world. So we raise the child differently, and that's when the frustration starts. And then there's always once against the other, or, and there's a lot of disparity in the way we want to bring up the child. So there's one thing which I would recommend is, please, if there are young parents out there, please discuss your parenting child before you have, even if you have a child now, it's a good idea to sit down and actually think as to how you're going to raise your child, and what are the ways you're going to discipline the child. What are the ways you're going to teach the child, even the way you're going to do their homework and stuff, even small things like that. The communication between the parents should be there. It's very important. That was one of the lessons which I learned, which we didn't do. And there was always this fights among us. No, we should do this, we should do that, because we were on different platforms. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is, once a child is growing, you should have a very clear and open communication with the child. That's very important, because when we were growing up, it was very simple. We didn't have the kind of issues that the kids have in school nowadays. There's a lot of bullying, much, much more bullying than it was when we were growing up. And the kids go through a lot of issues, especially nowadays when I talk to teenagers around and everything. They talk about gays and same-sex marriages, and and even small kids are in school are talking about whether abortion is right or abortion is not. That's the latest thing which I hear all the kids around me talk about. And I am surprised. These are something which we were not exposed to when we were growing up, but kids today are. So if you do not talk about it or have that relationship with your kids from when they're young, they go through a lot. They have a lot of questions. They go through a lot of things in their mind. They're exploring their sexuality themselves at that age. So for them to not to be able to talk to their parents is, it's very sad. And they go out and they search for answers somewhere else, which may not be right. So, I mean, that open communication with your kid is very, very important. And especially if there's a lot of bullying going on, so he can at least, or she can at least come and tell you that. So, and the other thing is the way you react is very important. You have to control that. I know there were a lot of times when you said something and said, oh, why did you do that? Or I really burst out, which I look back, I said, no, I should have controlled my emotions at that time, because the minute you do that, the kid says, oh, I cannot talk. This is like an explosive thing, and, and moves away. So there's a lot of things you have to, it's not just a child. You have to think it's like a CEO of the company that you are working with. How would you react if he spoke to you? That's how you are supposed to react with your child. Like, he is the CEO of your life. If you take it at that way, you will react differently. You will talk to him differently, or she differently. So that's I think one of the big mistakes that I did in my life, which I regret. And the third thing is taking care of yourself, especially when the kids are young. You kind of let go, which is not right. You do need me time. You do need to go out and get your mani-pedis done, or get things done and take care of yourself. And because that shows that you respect yourself. And I feel the kid also will respect, and the spouse will also respect you more if you take care of yourself. And then they value you as a mother if you respect yourself and take care of yourself much more. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Ganga.
Thanks for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. I think you made some very important points about communicating with your spouse, with your husband. The parents have. We recently had a young couple who had a child who was very sick, was in hospital for the first 3.5 months of her life. Mm-hmm. And one of Rita Duja Maharaj was helping this couple, and he would constantly say, and I hear him say this to all young couples: make sure you check in with each other. So, the mother and the father should check in with each other. Even the mother has so many duties, the father has, but take time to see how you're doing. Is there anything I can help you with? Because unless we talk, we will not be able to, you cannot second guess what the person is thinking. So we generally tend to project our own feelings.
Yes.
Very important. And in the Western society, there is, and this is important for us, there's the concept of a date night, right? Which is like self-care. Spend at least, sometime every day, maybe even in just 5 minutes. And then maybe once a week, maybe, once you have someone to help you, but make the time where it's the time between the two spouses. Right? Then that with the children, the child is taken, it may be after the child is asleep, but that's the time you give to each other, and which is your time for each other. It's such an important part of self-care to have that time with each other.
And then I just want to add something to that, Mataji, if you don't mind, is like, we think that we cannot leave the child, it's not like good parenting, and that guilt comes in, that we are going out and leaving the child with somebody, a babysitter or somebody, a thing. But that's not right. In fact, if you are happy, the child gains much more than just leaving the child with somebody else. The child does not even realize that. It's just your inner guilt, which you've just, it's inside you, which is not really a reality,
And the other thing you brought about was the children are not our children are not growing in the same environment that we grew up in. Damal Krishna Maharaj told us, my sister, when she joined the temple, he said, your parents did a very good job of raising you all. They did a very good job. But when you became teenagers, they did not know how to handle it. We had a very good childhood, I feel, and we didn't feel it. But he could understand that we were not given, like you said, they didn't talk to us about what happens when the hormones range.
Yes.
How do you deal with the body is changing, the physiological demand? What do you do? So unless we take the steps and unless we are comfortable discussing it and bringing up the subject, we somebody else will educate them, and we don't know the credentials of the person who's educating them. So it's important that we bring that up. And like Ganga said, pornography, drug use, it's very, very common. If you look at the numbers, it's astounding. And this is an equal opportunity problem. It's not that it spares Indians or it spares Hare Krishnas. We're living in the society, and that's what we are getting. And another thing she said is you have to treat the child as an adult, or as an individual, and not think that this child does not understand. When you have children who come from parents who may have been divorced, or there is a dysfunctional family, you can see, and this is generational. We have to stop it with us. Let us not be the ones who keep perpetrating these dysfunctional families. We have this opportunity to come to Krishna consciousness, and as mothers and fathers, we should work and really take the mercy Srila Prabhupada has given us, make our families functional and give it to others. It is so lacking in society today. Ritaj Vijay Maharaj, he trained a lot of young men, and he was, when a few years ago, for 10 years or so, he traveled with 60, 70 kids, boys, and he took them to Ratyatas and he trained them to be outstanding men and women. A lot of them have pretty practically have good jobs, happily married, have taken initiation, and want their children to be devotees. So you know how he would address these kids? When he came into the room, he wouldn't say boys and girls, he would say gentlemen. He set that expectation. He expects them to be gentlemen, so they show up like gentlemen. But if we think, oh, this is just, a girl or a boy, then we are not allowing them to express their full potential. So like Ganga said, we have to, whatever we want them to be, we should kind of like set that expectation from the beginning, no? Good child, or like, you are, big girl, or, that helps setting those expectations. So thank you so much, Ganga. And I have another god sister of mine. She lives in New York. She is also a teacher. So that's a very good combination, right? Not only that, but she is a single mom. And she has kept up with her Krishna consciousness despite these difficulties. living in New York itself is not an easy thing. So Shri Rupa is her name, and I believe she teaches 5th grade, right, Shri Rupa? Yes, you are muted. And she does tremendous service, not only in New York, but even across the state. She hosts a Zoom program that we have on Friday nights. So I'll ask her to share some of the gems that she gleaned during her journey as a mother and as a teacher too of 5th graders.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for having me. I hope I can say something that is helpful to somebody. I love all of the points that Ganga Mataji made about relationship and knowing your children. Also, you, Mother Guru Bhakti, about setting high standards. These are all things that I try to do in my classroom as well as with my own child. And what I'm noticing now that wasn't really a problem with my son is, like you were both saying, the access to certain content and social media. So even as young as 10 years old, some of the my students are having access to material and ideas and concepts that they don't understand the true scope of what it means. So if I was raising my son as a small child right now, I would certainly be monitoring all of his social media. And that leads me back to what I feel was really important with my child growing up, was that I would have all of his friends come over to my house all the time. I would invite them here. Some might say I wanted to control the environment, but I more wanted to be, I wanted to be a witness to how he was growing and the decisions he was making and the friends that he was choosing. So I opened my house and made it an environment where he felt welcome to have his friends here all the time, because it's his home too, and it's a place where he was growing. So I wanted to get to know the children that he was, confiding in and having these relationships with. It was really important to me. So they became kind of like my children also. And even some of the children that he grew up with, I still have close relationships with them now, even though they've gone on and done different things. So that was really helpful to me, because I really, being a single mother, the pressure was on, I felt like the pressure was on me by myself, and that was really heavy. So I really appreciated when you said, Ganga Mataji, to really have those discussions before. And as a single parent, that's something that you should be taking time to do, to reflect with yourself, your inner reflection, to think about, what do I want for my child? What expectations do I have for my child? Just because you don't have a physical partner doesn't mean that you don't, that those conversations don't still have to take place, because you don't want to feel that the pressure was all on you and you made a hasty decision, or you didn't take the time to really reflect on that. And that also leads me to the relationships that I have developed in Krishna consciousness, and through the parents of my son's friends. They've been a huge support for me throughout the years. I did not raise him by myself. I would think about my identity as a single mother often, but when I reflect back on it, I really wasn't. I had so much support because of the relationships that I was fortunate enough to have, like I said, through various devotees and friends with parents on his baseball team. Even though we had different lifestyles and we had different beliefs, inviting those people into my home and into my son's life was really important, because it allowed him to have a nice mix of different experiences with different people. We don't live in a bubble, right? So we have to live in this world. So we have to understand how other people are different from us. And even though they're different, we respect them and we appreciate them. And, we like I said, we respect each other's differences. So another point that I wanted to make was about being a single mother. Sometimes you want to let that love, that's a really intense love, because it is just the two of you. So it's really, really special. I don't regret it in any way. It might've been easier with a partner, but I have a really close relationship with my son, so much so that sometimes I felt like I would let that intense love control me a little bit, and maybe give into things that I shouldn't have given into otherwise. But as I grew as a mother, I learned to take time again to reflect and think about okay, this is what will make my child happy in this moment, but is this what is best for him? So just putting that lens on and changing the lens when needed, leading with my heart and then leading at times with my mind. So thank you so much for letting me share. Hare Krishna, happy Mother's Day to all of the beautiful mothers and wonderful nurturers who are mothers by association. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sri Rupa. So some of the things that you brought attention to was to monitor the exposure of the child, right? Particularly on social media, and the idea of creating a supervised environment in which the child can grow. And also you talked about how it's important to have the support, to have a supportive community to help you raise the child. You know, but they say it's like it takes a village to raise a child, right? So these temple communities, our professional communities, sometimes would have to become those villages. You know, the sports teams that we associate with, you know, if the child is into some activity, the parents in that group, those become the villages which raise our children. And the more good examples the children are raised with, you see the more they'll be developed or mature as individuals. It's always amazing to see a child who grows up in the temple and community, because I've seen this so much. Because when the child comes to the temple, they have at least 10 or 15 fathers and mothers. Everyone is looking out for them and they're learning something from everyone. It is a win-win situation. The adults can give their love, right? And the child learns so much different skills, different talents from each person, and grows up to be it's such a wealth of opportunity for both parties. So you have the center in Austin and you have this Sangha. So keep coming to that Sangha, because it will help nurture you as an individual, and then as a family, and also the community will grow. And if we will be a good example of a community which is very functional, which is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do, right? He built a house in which the whole world can live. So we have to create that atmosphere where people from all walks of life can come in and find shelter. And Srila Prabhupada is our founder child. So I will stop here. I don't know if they are, we took up all our time. So Satyasara Prabhu, I don't know if there's questions or you'd like to entertain, or we can just stop here.
Hare Krishna, Mother Guru Bhakti. Yes, can you take a few questions?
Yes, and then if you also want to direct it specifically to Ganga or to Sri Rupa, or if we feel that we will also ask for their opinion too.
Okay, so there is a question in the temple room.
Yeah.
Please mention it. Oh, okay. So somebody wants to share something.
Sure. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I'm Geetanjali Dilip from India. On this beautiful occasion of Mother's Day, I'm so fortunate to be part of this wonderful Krishna consciousness group. I come from Salem, India, where there's a very beautiful ISKCON temple coming up, being led by Gokul Prabhudas ji. And I'm so grateful to Shobana Di, who brought me here. My vacation is coming to a close. My daughter lives here, but this is a beautiful culmination of my vacation, and my husband is also right here. What I want to share today is, first of all, thank you so much for imparting all of your wonderful knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and the mothers who shared very beautiful things with us and important things. I am a teacher myself, and I teach French back in Salem. I have seen many children who have been taken into the fold of Krishna consciousness, and we are also, active members there. I attend Bhagavatam class every Monday. God has given me, Krishna has given me the blessing for that. My daughter was also part of it. Now she lives in Austin, Salem, right here, Cedar Park. So what I want to share today is, I write poetry too, and I've written a whole lot of poems in my page called Alcove Atma. It's entirely about Krishna, and this based on Mother's Day. I wrote something over the years. I want to share one with you, if that's okay.
Yes, wonderful.
With all humility and blessings of Lord Krishna, I hereby share it. The invisible rope. What could be what could ever grasp? Thank you. What could ever grasp and tie you other than the invisible rope of love, Madhava, Balakrishna, Yadunandana, Muralidhara, tears you feign to fill a mother's bosom with the milk of motherhood. Your very tears are the abode of transcendental love, Damodhara. Fill my eyes with tears of bliss as I hold you close to my heart, Kanha, for I have carried oceans of your memory through births, as you steal my heart with your evasive and enigmatic illusion of being a mere cowherd, Gokula Bala. So this is something I wrote based on Lord Krishna being, thank you so much, Hare Krishna, being part of the Damodara celebration that we had back in the ISKCON temple there. And I wrote this and I did a little painting based on that. There's one more if you have time. Can I share it? Can I share one more poem? Okay, fine, no problem. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Mother Guru Bhakti, there is a hand raised online. Satyarupa Prabhu, please unmute and ask.
Hare Krishna Mataji, that's a wonderful lecture. My question is like need to address on the pointers like gay, abortion, pornography, drugs. What is the right age to tell them the consequences of getting into it, or can you give some light on it, Mataji?
So I'll ask Sri Rupa. Sri Rupa, would you like to comment?
That's been an ongoing discussion, especially in my field lately, because children in general have more access earlier. So I feel that if there's a situation, what we do is if there's a situation in the home or in the community where children have knowledge of it, we will discuss it with them. There are many beautiful children's books that show different ways that families look, because every family looks different. So there are many beautiful children's books. I could share some of them with Mother Guru Bhakti, and they're told in a way that's not in an explicit nature, but it's more in a loving, accepting, and nurturing way, where we are encouraged to appreciate how different families look. So I would say it's a child by child or family by family basis. Each situation is unique.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to just add something. It's just like, start talking to your child and see who they're associating with. Because here in HISD, they're pretty open. And I mean, young kids, even in like 6th grade, 7th grade, they're saying, oh, I'm gay and I am this, and and I am a man in a woman's body. And I have been hearing kids come home and talk about that, and they're confused. And, so I think communication is very important, and who your child's friends are and what they are going through, because that really, really affects the kid. Because I know somebody whose best friend is she's thinking of converting herself from a girl to a boy, and she's young, and and the parents are okay with it and stuff like that. So it's shocking to us, but it's okay in this society to do that, in a lot of Western society, So and our kids are very confused when they experience all that in school. So it's really very important to start talking to them and asking questions about their friends. That's really important. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's important to listen to or spend time when they come from school, or if the child is saying something, then stop and listen. Because they will say things, and don't brush them off. It's not just like a one-off thing. If she says, oh, my friend is thinking that she's not a girl, or Mary is thinking that she's not a girl. And then and when children talk, we don't necessarily have to give answers. They have to be heard. So you can just reflect back, and what do you think about it? We have to be good sounding boards, so that the child can come up with their own answers and we can guide them in the right way. There is a very nice book called How to Talk So Children Can Listen, and How to Listen So Kids Can Talk. It's not children, it's kids. It's written by psychologists. It's very easy read. It's in the form of cartoons. You can get it at a secondhand bookstore for about like $6-7, but very educational. There's a similar one for teenagers too. How to speak so teenagers can listen, and how to, by the same author. Very useful in communication. So to listen to what they are saying, and then we can respond accordingly.
And Mother Guru Bhakti, you said earlier about children having so many relationships, like even when they come to the temple, they have all these different relationships. Because your children might not necessarily want to talk to you about it. They might feel uncomfortable, and not that they don't love you and trust you, but it might be embarrassing for them. So for them to have these relationships in addition are very helpful. And then even at their school, sometimes at my school, there's a counselor that my students love to go to talk to, because it's a space that's safe. They don't feel judged. It's not directly in contact with their everyday life, so they feel like they could be more open. So letting your children know that those spaces are available for them is really important.
Thank you. Nice.
Oh, Mataji, that's really wonderful point you mentioned, Mataji. Shri Mataji. Yeah.
There's another question online. Sorry, Prabhu.
Guru Bhakti Mataji, can you send through WhatsApp chat the book name you mentioned?
Sure.
It will helpful for our community. Okay. Yeah, right. Prabhu, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, Rani Mataji, please unmute and ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful session. It was very educational for me as a parent. So I have a couple of questions, if I may. The first thing I had was, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So parents apologizing for their behavior, how important is it? And what impact does it have on the children growing up? I bring this up because we were raised completely in a different atmosphere. So would you like to share your thoughts on that?
So one thing we do have to learn is apologizing does not mean it's a failure. We have to learn to admit our mistakes. It's an important principle in our lives, no? Because no one is perfect. So I feel like it's even I have personally been a witness to Tamal Krishna Maharaj apologizing to a temple president who had kind of fallen off and was kind of like blaming him, not just apologizing but paying obeisances to his disciple. You know, so just so much humility and then Srila Prabhupada also, right, that if we make mistakes, then it is to acknowledge that we've made a mistake and to move forward. It's very important. Otherwise, we have adults who cannot ever admit to making a mistake, right? And that's not good training. We have to be responsible for our own behavior, and we should not. It's better to know what our shortcomings are rather than try to cover them up by not apologizing for our misbehavior, or it may be a slip, but we are teaching the child, look, we are not perfect and it's okay to make mistakes, and to take the measures or procedures to correct that mistake, because we cannot correct something which is wrong unless we admit that there's something wrong, no? So the apology is part of correction. And some of my closest mentors are those who can poke fun at themselves or speak about their own shortcomings in such a humorous way, you know, because it's a growing process for us. So it's important that we do that.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, with your kind permission, can I share one more poem that I wrote for Damodar?
Okay, I am not the host, so I will ask, because I don't know what your schedule is. So I think we should check with the Satyasara Prabhu as to what the next.
It might take less than half a minute. So I think I'll just thank you. And yeah, we are learning a lot from whatever you're sharing with us. There are serious topics going on, but I just want to quickly, because this is probably my last week here in Austin before I leave for India. And this again is about Damodar, because even his tears are so sacred and holy. And Ma Yashoda and Krishna are the ultimate, relationship of mother and son in that particular Leela. I call it, in your tears I drench. The Sharad moon has drifted away in shame on seeing your beatific visage, O gem of Mathura holy. Brilliant like pure silver of cloudless horizons, like your sanctifying name that cleanses the dust of tainted and foggy souls that karmas sully. There you stand, you toddler, innocently tied in a rope to beliefs that we falsely get entangled with in our ignorance, as you cry like a mortal child, chastised, and in the hope that Ma Yashoda will set you free, bound to the mortar of illusions and human nescience. Your feet stomping in feigned stubbornness as your anklets jingle, to be untied as the rope extends endlessly, and the bewildered mother who imagines you are hers in a possession single, as she wonders why you could never get bound by discipline, dogma, and misnomers blindly. Love, and only selfless love in the mode of surrender, could tie you to our hearts in that invisible thread. In these dark months of Krishna Paksham, where lamps burn asunder, guide us, Damodara, as your nectarine tears cleanse our sins to be safely led to where you are never born in that blissful Goloka abode, where love of every selfless mode unfolds unadulterated. Krishna, my Ishta, pour down as blessings from your dark rain-bearing clouds where demigods rode, to drench us with your grace and benevolence undivided. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Rani, did you have another question? You said you had several questions. I don't know if we bypassed you.
Yes, Mataji, I had one follow-up question, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take one more question. Maybe this is the last question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
So my question was, how do we inculcate or emphasize decision-making qualities in our kids as they, are growing up to take charge of their life and in their future, and, maybe eventually they become good role models and great leaders. So there's a fine line when we parent them, like we are almost at the verge of making decisions for them, but that in that way we are only making them handicapped and not empowering them, not making them believe in themselves and their instincts, that it's them that they need to make decisions. So could you please educate us, Mataji?
I will tell you the perspective that I have, and then maybe Shirupa, you can talk, and Ganga. A good way is to ask questions, because generally when someone has a question, the answer is within them. And you see all the good mentors, they are very good sounding boards. So they bring the answer out from you. If I have seen, of course, some mentors or some teachers, maybe they will tell you what to do. Like, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, very famous. He was a very good judge of people, and he was very hands-on. So, and he had no difficulty in telling you what to do. But it wasn't that he was not open to listening to your point of view, but he had this really great ability to really understand a person's potential and encourage you and push you, stretch you, so you get to the full potential which you even didn't think you had. Of course, he was my guru, so he had that special prerogative, because the guru can tell the disciple what to do, right? And that's, as a disciple, we have to, we also have faith in the guru that we will follow. And the guru empowers us with the instruction to follow whatever it is that he wants us to do. Now, his godbrothers, who he has empowered in our case as the advisors in his absence, they have a different way of dealing with us. And I've seen this, like Giriraj Maharaj or Ritaraj Maharaj. If you ask them if you give them a problem, they will ask you questions to draw the answer out from you. So this is we have to learn this listening skills and be able to draw out the answer, right? So with our children too, because you have trained them, you have to have some faith that that training will stand them in good stead. Ritaluja Maharaj very famously says, he says that whenever you have to be confident that you have trained them in a certain way in Krishna consciousness, so they have earned your trust. If they have earned your trust, then you have to permit them to spend that trust, right? So you have to give them permission that they can and then you can see if they're spending it wisely or not. But the trust is earned, then you can see how to spend, and then ask them questions, because they may be able to see one point, but you can, instead of telling them that I wouldn't do this because this is the problem, you can ask them, like, of course, this is if you are saying, okay, this is my career path, what are the pros and cons? Do you have what qualities will you need in order to get to this goal, or in order to get what you want? What qualities do you need to develop? And if they have the qualities, you can encourage them. If they don't, what are the steps you will take to develop those qualities? What do you have to become to get this? So you draw out the answers, because when a person gives his own answer, he's convinced. But what do they say? A person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So we don't come down hard on them of like forbearing, but treat them, give them the ability to rationalize and to think and to develop the decision-making capacity by always you test them like this. This is what I've seen in practical life. So Shirupa, as an educator and mother of a teenager.
So I feel like this is strongly connected to the question that you asked before and Mother Guru Bhakti's response, where she was saying about making mistakes. When your children feel like it is okay to make mistakes and they know that it's not going to be the end of the world, they have permission to take chances. So then they have opportunities if you give them opportunities to explore, they will understand that it's okay if I'm not completely successful. I'm going to take this chance and I'm going to try to learn. It increases their confidence, and also make sure they're being given opportunities outside of the home to practice, be in leadership roles, maybe in the temple. Ask their teacher, what type of leadership opportunities does my child have in the classroom? That's really important, because they spend most of their waking time, if they're not homeschooled, they spend most of their waking time outside of the home, either in classroom activities after school. So make sure they're being given opportunities during those times when they don't have the comfort of their home and the safety of your guidance. Thank you.
Okay. Ganga, you have something to add?
Yeah, this is like, again, like Shirupa Mataji said, like it's connected to that even the sorry question that they had asked is, he says, when you even say you're sorry, if you say as to why you are sorry and why you reacted the way, it's always good to explain the things as to why it is done. So especially in my household, like whenever we had to make any important decision, we always discuss the why. And that really helped him in thinking as to why we came to that, and helped him, think about what is the logical conclusion to it and how we reached that. And I know when my son was very young, I always taught him the SWOT analysis. I think he was too young to really understand that when I started, but I think it really helped him. For everything, every decision, and we always start and we made that square and, the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threat, and we did that SWOT analysis. And you may think that it's just a business tool to do it, but kids also learn, and even young kids, they understand that. And if you can use that, that is really powerful tool to help that. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. It's very helpful. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Guru Bhakti, Mother Ganga, Mother Shirupa, thank you very much. So we would like to give a quick thank you note. Satyarupa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Guru Bhakti Mataji, for wonderful enlightening Mother's Day talk. You have mentioned like 7 mothers, only not the birth given mother, Mother Earth, cow, nurse, wife of Brahmana, wife of Guru, and wife of King, and how we need to treat our earth with the gratitude, and the protection of cow, how it is so important, and its byproducts also very sacred, urine and cow dung. And Vedas are our mother, so that we need to respect Vedas and follow the instructions. And you also told that mothers need to steadfast in Krishna consciousness and be an example for their children. So that is very important instruction you given. And mothers need to take care of her health. So it's a foundation for their family and spiritual progress. And you also said should simplify our life. Mother should not hesitate to ask help of the spouse so that she can get some time. And it's take a child, raising a child is it's like take a village to raise the child. And that's nice points you mentioned. And Mother Ganga also mentioned like communicating with the spouses, and to make a common platform from both parents, and need to address the some of the important things like bullying, same-sex, gay, abortion, pornography, and drugs. Very right is whenever we hear from them, they are like talking or this kind of words, then we need to educate them and control our emotions. And we should not react, just respond to that situation and take care of mother and take kids as an adult, Mataji said, and set the right expectation at very early age and set a high standard. And Mother Sri Rupa mentioned that monitor and controlling their social websites and all. So we need to give the decision making and what kind of decision they are making, and we need to discuss. And we are not living in a bubble, we are living in a society. So we need to mingle with all other people. So we should be make our mind in that way. Thank you all for spending time and educating us. It's wonderful lecture, and we are expecting more Krishna conscious talks also from you, three of you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you for the opportunity, and happy Mother's Day, everyone. And we are happy to serve you anyway. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mother Guru Bhakti, Ganga Mataji, and Sri Rupa Mataji. Thank you very much. And we are going to move on to the next part of our agenda, which is Arati. Please feel free to stay on and attend Arati. Devotees in the temple, we are going to roll up the carpets and we are going to perform Arati. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनेति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादे पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram जय जय श्री वृंदावन धाम, जय 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 श्री वृंदावन धाम, जय 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 श्री वृंदावन, जय Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Gopinath Krishna Jaya Hare Krishna Jaya Krishna Ram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya 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 Guru
The Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप धाम की यमुना देवी गंगा देवी तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की बृहत मृदंगा की हरि नाम संकीर्तन की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Hare Krishna Temple of Austin. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine.
Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Pranam Hiranyakashi Purvaksha Hiranyakashi Purvaksha Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho Ito Narsimho Parato Narsimho Yato yato yami tato narsimho Yato yato yami tato narsimho Bahe Narsimo Ridahi Narsimo Bahe Narsimo Ridahi Narsimo Narasimhamadam Sharanam Prapadim Narasimhamadam Sharanam Prapadim Tava Kara Kamala Raga Adbhuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringa Keshavadrita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Hare Tava Kara Kamala Adhuta Shinga Tava Kara Kamala Raga Adbhuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Ragamala Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Nitya Gaura Hari Hari Hari
विघ्न विनाश लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्त प्रवार श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की, शीला प्रभुपाद की जय. So it was fantastic Arati Kirtan and Narsingh Arati Kirtan. Thank you, Sevya. Thank you, Radha Prabhu, for playing Mridanga, and thank you, Jaspadra, for being a Pujari. So with that, in the interest of time, I'm going to make a quick announcement, and we're going straight to Prasadam. So first of all, once again, Happy Mother's Day. May Srimati Radha Rani, she is the mother of Bhakti, the best of pure devotional service unto all of you. So that's my prayer to Mother Srimati Radha Rani. So with that, the announcement is two little Vaishnavas in our community. They celebrated their birthday last week. One was 1 year, he completed 1 year. And the one, I think Krishna was 3 years. Wow, big accomplishment. So let us give a big round of applause. So this is Vaishnava Udbhav, is Sweta Mataji and Raghunandan Prabhu's son. He completed 1 year. And our dear Krishna, Arundhati Mataji and Naresh Prabhu's son, completed 3 years. So let's sing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times for the holistic well-being of these two little Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So rest of the announcements we'll send it in WhatsApp group. So now it's the Prasadam time. So in the spirit of honoring motherhood, we would like to request all the wonderful mothers assembled here to go and sit, and we would like to serve. All the Prabhus will serve today. And also, yes, and not only mothers, even the children can sit with mothers, and also elders can sit with mothers also. So all the Prabhus will like to request all of you to just, let's serve. We have opportunity to serve all the mothers. So with that, we like to humbly request all the wonderful mothers to please lead the way. Hare Krishna. You want to say Prasadam prayers? Who wants to say Prasadam prayers?
No problem. Mahaprasade Govinde, Namo Brahmane Vaishnave, Swalpa Punya Vritam Rajan, Vishwaso Naivam Jayate, Sharira Vidyajal, Jodindriyata Hekal, Jive Fele Vishaya Sagore, Dharmade Jivati, Lobha Moisa Durmati, Take Jeta Kathina Samsare, Krishna Bado Doya, Kari Bhara Jiva Joy, Swaprasadana Dilo Bhai, Sena Amrita Pao, Radha Krishna Guna Gao, Preme Dakho Shri Chaitanya Nitai, Jani Mai Jani Tai, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mahaprasadam ki jai.
Hare Krishna mothers, please. Ram Prabhu, they can sit, right?